Right, so quickly, as some of as the countryside ranger lady said from Athol, gamekeeping is a way of life. It's an absolute vacation. So if you look at that picture of these older fellas, the young guy in the top left picture is the old guy on the top right picture now. So I've been in this industry for 21 years as a full-time gamekeeper and deer stalker, and I have trained gamekeepers and deer stalkers for 27 years. I work for the Scottish Gamekeepers Association, and I also work for the Gamekeepers Charity in the UK. So we work closely with the states, so this is a group of gamekeeping students from Borders College when we were up at Invercald, so we work closely with industry, and I'm going to give you a breakdown. And so basically gamekeeping has 3 strands in your career if you want to, you know, become involved. There is lowland gamekeeping, there is moorland gamekeeping, and there is deer stalking, both woodland and upland. So I'll just put these bullet points up and just talk to you about them. So the gamekeeper is just like farming, and in respect of it's a seasonal job. So some of these tasks are, you know, they are perfectly seasonal. So management of habitats, I'll just break this down and look at these things. So as my colleague, the ranger lady from Athol, said, that you need to be a bit of a, you know, a jack of all trades. If you look closely here, you'll see we work with animals. So we have dogs are tools as part of your job. You have to learn to drive ATVs. You use firearms. You use radios. You have to be able to fix and repair things yourself. So, you know, one of the things at school would be to do woodwork, potentially metalwork and stuff like that, so that you can, you know, I lived 18 miles from the nearest village, from nearest town, when in one of the places I worked, and we had to fix things and do all sorts of things ourselves. So, as I said, gamekeepers will manage all these habitats, basically throughout the whole of the UK, and some of the landowners put lots of effort and lots of their own money into conservation. Then it doesn't, you know, the gamekeepers help undertake the work, and I'll show you how that breaks down. So we create new woodlands for game birds, but obviously the knock-on effect is that it's for all other species in there that thrive, and the general diversity of species goes up as the woods mature. We use game crops, which are seasonal. We're planted to flush game birds from that on shoot days, but they have they're great for insects, and in the winter they provide lots of shelter and seeds for wild birds as well. So we're from all strands, it's quite a big picture. So the guys that work in the uplands, they manage the heather. The heather has to be burnt in stages and in a mosaic. So we're active involved with that, and you know, we assess the grazing pressures from deer and sheep and things, and the other wildlife certainly benefits from that. And so there's just a brief overview. As you say, it's carried out in all weathers. So, you know, to be a gamekeeper, you have to be self-motivated, reliable, have personal integrity, be dedicated, a good listener, a people person. You know, like this chap here will have to take clients out. Now this stag, although it looks like it's, why would you shoot such a majestic animal? He has reached the end of his life. That stag is approximately 14 years old. That stalker has known that animal for such, you know, the time of his life, because they're fed and looked after. And when he has passed all his DNA into the female line, you know, rather than him die on the hill and become food for ravens and foxes, that a client will shoot that animal at the end of his life. But it's just like a farmer breeding bulls and trying to keep the welfare and keep the genetics of the herd up to animals that are healthy. have larger body weights and produce trophies. So it's a balancing act to being a deer stalker. The reason we do that is there are no natural predators because they've all but gone. Golden eagles occasionally take a few things, and foxes will take young deer. So I'm involved with that. I help to train young stalkers as well. There are 2 national qualifications which all of the Scottish gamekeeping colleges will offer, DSC levels 1 and 2, so that if the career working with deer is very rewarding, and as Atherley states, as one of the finest deer forests in Scotland. So yeah, they have a team of professional deer stalkers. And it's great because you get to meet people from all walks of life and take clients out and deal with them, and it's really, really good, very rewarding. Also, as to be a gamekeeper, you have to be a bit of a naturalist or a crime scene investigator, because you know, you have predation at all levels. So you have to be a bit of a nature detective, as I say, so you have to learn tracks, trails, signs, droppings, how animals kill other species, you know, all sorts of interactions between animals. And the reason we do things like this is because some of the larger predators do impact other species and domestic livestock. And some of the other ones affect farm crops or forestry. And we're limited, you know, we have to use the appropriate approved legal methods. And that's all, you know, as part of your training, and using firearms and traps and passing all the relevant courses that you're required to do that. One aspect of the lowland gamekeeping is the game bird rearing. So that's a very time-consuming process, because the pheasants are caught at the end of the shooting season, or are kept back, female pheasants, and they become the lay stock. The eggs are collected and incubated, and then they are put in, you know, the chicks are put into units and sheds, and they're reared for 5 to 6 weeks out on grass. Then they're introduced to pens and woodland, and they're released and fed and monitored at all times. And we check them for parasites, and they're fed, and it's long hours, long hours. Some of these gamekeepers in the summer be working 18 hours a day. So it's, you know, if it's this is the job that you'd have to have. It'd have to be, you know, it's so unique. It's absolutely unique. You're outdoors in all weathers, but you could potentially become your own boss. You work with animals, you work with conservation projects, and you live where you work. You open your door and you're at your work. You've no commuting in a train or a bus. It's absolutely unique, and you know, I'm really, really proud to be involved in this industry, and I like to try and be an ambassador for it. Shoot days, and it's not all people think, oh, blasting birds out of the sky. Less than a third of the birds that are released are actually shot. Lots of them, you know, just stray away and establish territories and go all over and end up in people's back gardens. But as an industry, as you see from that bullet point, huge amounts of money go into the Scottish rural economy. And some of these big Highland estates like Atholl and things like that, the local villages depend on them. The garages and the shops and the schools and the hotels, and you know, so hunting, shooting and fishing certainly have, you know, and it's very rewarding for you to be involved as part of that. And it's not just, you know, it's not all about, local people are involved, so that you know, they help on shoots and stuff like that. So, and the end result, well, we all know all the venison is now used by celebrity chefs. Game is eaten, and basically it doesn't have as many chemicals as some of the, you know, the products that come from farms and stuff. So it's extremely healthy, and at this time, and it's extremely cheap as well. So it's yeah, the end result is that there's good food on the table to eat. One of our roles is to police the countryside, a bit like the Rangers do. like fly tipping and stuff, but we have to deal with poaching, different from the river poaching aspect that my colleague spoke about. If you see the cruelty that's involved, look at that poor red deer. It's got a crossbow bolt through its ribs there. All sorts of things happen where people break into farms and buildings and estates and steal things. So yes, it can be quite confrontational for us, but we work closely with the local police. We have poaching as well as hare coursing, and we occasionally help with salmon poaching. I was a sworn-in bailiff for the Tay Fishery Board at one stage in my career. And well, you should be proud of Scotland, and rather than just take that to the local skip, rather than just these people who dump it in the countryside. It's quite upsetting, and I'm sure the Rangers have seen a lot worse than that. Right, so my role as a trainer, here's a group of, that's me there, before my hair went grey completely, and with some of these lads are still gamekeepers to this day. So it's been very rewarding for me that the progression through it from college to becoming an underkeeper or a beatkeeper, and then even work their way up to becoming head gamekeeper on a big estate. So the routes through college is a nursing certificate in gamekeeping, and it's a unique course because it's half the course is spent on work placement and half is in college getting the underpinning knowledge and legislation, whereas when you're on the estate you're being trained by the gamekeepers. The HNC is a follow-up from that, so there's more science and more management involved with that one. And a good route to go is a modern apprenticeship in gamekeeping. So if you did well on your work placement and the estate potentially wanted to employ you, you could get a route into the industry that way. And it's brilliant because you're trained on the estate and the colleges come out and monitor your progress. So modern apprenticeship is a great way to go. Back in my day, I did it the old way. I'm proud to be one of the last of the old time gamekeepers. I started off as a kennel boy. I had 12 Labradors to look after. That was my main job. It was, and it's just changed completely. Gamekeeping. The changes have been things like now we have night vision and thermal imaging for poachers and for doing census work. We use apps as well. What 3 words is a good one because we work in remote places, and it's potentially something could happen to us or the people that we're working with, and we have to work out dosage, medication rates and things like that. So maths is a good way to go at school, biology as well. So, and as I said, there are 3 routes to go.